Hello there, people of YouTube, and welcome back to the Spotlight podcast for another movie review, where I'll be looking at a film that I wasn't able to review at time of release due to being a couch surfer at the time, which is 2019's Dr. Sleep, directed by Mike Flanagan and starring Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, Kyleigh Curran, and Cliff Curtis. This film is based on a 2013 novel of the same name written by Stephen King and is a direct sequel to the 1980s classic The Shining. Now, before I get into the review, first of all, if you like what I do on this channel, please feel free to drop a like and hit that subscribe button. It would really help me a lot in these trying times. And I just want to say, this film, despite a budget of only 50 million, only made 72.5 million or something along those lines. This is why we can't have nice things, guys, and I'm about to go into why that is. So this film is a continuation of Dan Torrance, the little boy from The Shining, and how he has grown up, got the same alcohol problems as his father did, is still traumatized by the events of The Shining, but thanks to bumping into a guy called Billy at this random town after getting on the bus, he finds a new leash on life, where he started to kick his alcoholism, and he ends up getting a job as a clerk in a hospital where older patients pass away, where he earns the moniker Dr. Sleep. Basically, as a cat that knows exactly when someone's going to die, and Dan uses his shine to ease these people to sleep and eases their fears, which earns him the moniker Dr. Sleep. But then we have a time skip, and a lot of things happen. There is a cult of people that have the shine that hunt down kids that have shine to basically torture, murder, and eat their steam. Meanwhile, Dan is connected to a little girl called Abra from a young age who also has the shine, and she is one of the most powerful shines yet. And the leader of the cult, Rose the Hat, played by Rebecca Ferguson, senses Abra and is out to get her. And Dan, at the behest of Dick, is sent to protect little Abra. And so we get ourselves a film. Now, if you go into this one in The Shining 2.0, you're not going to get that. Outside of the first 10 minutes and the last half hour, this film is very much its own thing, telling its own story within the Shining universe. Yes, it does eventually go balls to the walls with Shining references and Shining stuff, but for the middle bit, it's just telling its own story and doesn't rely on a lot of the Shining stuff. We have references every now and again, but for the most part, it's its own solitary individual story taking place within this. Now, to start off with, I've got to give a massive props to the cinematography. I'd love to know how they shot some of these scenes, especially those scenes where rooms are rotating, and I can't figure out if they've done it practically by just building rotating rooms like some other films have, such as A Nightmare on Elm Street, or whether it was CG. There's some scenes that are clearly CG, but even so, they still look good to look at. And the framing is very much that of a Kubrick film. It is very much a homage to how The Shining was shot. All these long shots, all these slow pans following Danny around. The way it's shot is so clever. For example, in the Overlook, Dad's about to turn the corner. In the back of your mind, you're thinking twins. Are they there or not? I will not spoil that. This film is gorgeously shot and makes this 2.5 film very easy to digest and get through. The characterization of Danny is fantastic as well. Ewan McGregor is fantastic in this role, portraying what an adult Danny would be, a man struggling with alcoholism, about the trauma, and the fact he does get his closure with that towards the end, which I'll go into shortly, is very good indeed. I do love how he connects with Kyleigh Curran as Abra. Them two as a team checking to each other. It is really good. And I need to give a huge praise to the young actress playing Abra. For an actress to have to come into a film at such a young age to carry a film like this, which is the sequel to one of the most iconic films of all time, she does a fantastic job and balances childhood innocence and curiosity with a more mature, sinister edge to her. She carries herself well alongside actors that have been doing this for several years. And the supporting cast as well are really good. Rose the Hat, she is a great villain. Some people don't like her as a villain, but me personally, I enjoy her as a villain. This cult, they are sick. They're some of the most monstrous a-holes you will ever meet in the film. But you see where they're coming from, sort of. They want to live forever, they have to eat well. So as a result, they have to eat these children's steam. And a lot of them have done it so many times, they're probably desensitized to it. so it helps that they're not really that bothered by the screens of what's going off. The film also is very good at pushing the boundary. There's a particular scene with a baseball boy that is hard to watch. It doesn't show you everything, but it doesn't cut away too much either. It shows you just enough for you to feel a bit uneasy. There are some really horrific elements in this film. Even the horror elements themselves, and I will stand by this film, is a horror movie. The horror element is quite literally different to a lot of other films. Most films have a protagonist being scared by the antagonist the whole way through. For this one, I would argue that some of the most horrific sequences take place against the antagonists. A certain scene with some mind infiltration and a busted up hand is gruesome to watch, and it was a very nice change of pace to see the playing field pretty much leveled out. Whereas in the Shining world, Abra reigns supreme, in reality she would be weak to defend herself, which I think is a nice little dynamic of the film. I also love the casting of the younger actors. I still love that Henry Thomas, the little cute boy from E.T., is now playing Jack Torrance. He is calling himself Lloyd the bartender, but in the vein of the guy from the first film, they die at the hotel, they become a member of the staff, and they can't remember a thing about their past life. So he is very much playing a ghost version of Jack Torrance in The Overlook, and it is such a wonderful scene. You actually got to play a young Wendy, ghost Dick, a young Dan. They all look the spitting images. Even the two little girls got to play the young daughters all over again. They created all these classic characters from 40 years ago really well indeed. And it is fantastic how they were used to reference but also carry on the story. They were never used to be like, hey, remember this from The Shining? It was all there purely to advance the story, which I thought was brilliant. There are a couple of moments in this 2.5 hour film that do drag a little bit. A lot of it is set up. Hell, the film gets halfway through before we even get to anything really big. It's a good hour before we have the time skip. But I like slow burns like this. I love these sort of slow burn films that take the time. I don't really care for horror movies that are jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. This one's a nice slow burn to keep you tense. It's not horror as you would imagine it. But with films like Hereditary and Midsommar coming out in recent years and being classed as horror, I will still class this as very much a horror movie in the vein of the classic horrors such as The Shining. And I will say Ewan McGregor's accent does fluctuate a bit. Sometimes we have Ewan McGregor's Scottish when train spotting. He's got some Obi-Wan tones in there. And he's obviously got his American voice in there as well. But overall, there's very little I can say that I didn't like about this film. Doctor Sleep is a worthy successor to The Shining. Easily one of the best horror movies of the last decade. And I would argue probably one of the best sequels of all time, especially with a tall order like living up to The Shining. So for me personally, guys, I would say that Doctor Sleep is a great cup of tea. So, Doctor Sleep, have you all seen it? If you have, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And if you do like what I do on this channel, please feel free to drop a like and subscribe to the channel as well. And what is your favourite classic horror movie? Kindly let me know. And if you follow my socials, you can chime in on what you want to see next on this channel, as there's no new films out in the minute, all the cinemas are shut, so it's open season on what we're reviewing next. But until next time, guys, this is that Spikehead Podcast, signing off. Hey, thank you for watching, and thank you for making it to the end of the video. While you are here, if you haven't done it yet, please feel free to drop a like and consider hitting that subscribe button for more reviews coming all the time. And also, while you are here, there are some other videos over there that you might want to sink your teeth into. Have a good day, guys, and do enjoy.